Today we have tips on using your computer as a homesteading tool, planning tips and tricks for above and below the desk.
Alright, here. Today's thing is on organization and planning. The heart and the start of projects is right here in the office. My office. And just a couple points I want to make on organization. You got to plan your work and then work your plan. One of the things I always start off on the computer is keep a master list. Call it my master to-do list. So I always keep this on the computer. It's quite extensive, spanning many pages. Sometimes details, for example, some details about when I put in the inverters and the solar panels. Some of the information I need about that I've even stuck in there, but most of it's to-do items on top, and then there's some project details throughout. So I keep it in an order in which I plan to do these items. Then I print out the top couple of pages and keep it on a clipboard that I keep with me at all times when I'm doing my project work around the house. Sometimes you have spurious notes that you have to put in here, but it also can always keep you on track. Now what I found that goes beyond this then is you have your master list, but then you're going to have a sub-list down below it. So the sub-list is something I just write out by hand and ties in with the master list. So it's kind of like you go through the master list, and for example, I expect that it's going to be raining part of the day tomorrow. So I've planned the items that I can do in the rain. I need to go up to make a run up to a garbage run tomorrow. So I've planned the things along that tie in with it, and the things that I can then fit in with the day. So I keep these sub-lists. Like one of them here is my rain to do, and one of them is when it's not raining.
Here's a recent example of a mostly used up list. But you see up at the top, I keep the items that I need to pick up. You know, anytime you need to run your errands, I basically try to keep that up there, and what items I need to pick up at each place. It goes along with the projects down below. Obviously that changes, and you can see there's write-ins there. I often will keep a section for a rainy day, so that when we do get inclement weather here, it's not predicted very well. So anyway, that allows me to jump on those projects. And each section you'll see a garden walkway section, and I've got the task for that. Critical loads that has to do with our solar panel system, which was recently put in. So the task items with that, and I see little check boxes in front of them. Just kind of helps demark one from another, and strike them out when I'm done, add to them. So I mean, obviously this looks like a train wreck. Now on the second page you just see the bottom of the same list, and nothing really new there. You just see things are struck out, but I find notes all during the day. I'm like writing things down. Like here I got some logging settings for vlogging with the new camera. And that's it. You just you want to get down as much as you can. Break it down into what task. What's your long-term goals for your homestead? Break it down into sections. Get it all down on paper. When you have a brainstorm, don't let it pass you by. Get it down. Get it down on paper. Yeah, in this shot you just see some of the sub-lists, the to-do sub-lists. So these kind of take off of the other list. So I look at it and figure out what's the most important right now. Or what can I get done? So there's a lot of conditions. Yeah, you work off your list, create this sub-list, and that's what you work from the day or a couple of days. And then you'll see two pages, one up front and then one behind. So there's kind of like backup projects. If I feel the notion, I get on and get these backup projects done.
So that helps keep me on track. Maximize what you can get done. I can't emphasize enough the planning stage, because not only you need to figure out what materials you need, you figure out what you're doing, figure out the materials you need, get stuff ordered. I order a lot of things online. Otherwise, I'll include in my list items that I need to pick up from the big box hardware store. And all that's included on my list, what needs to be done. So in fact, when I drive out tomorrow to go do the dump run, I'll be going to the hardware store, and I have, something to pick up at Walmart. I won't be going to the steel yard tomorrow. I'm postponing that. And Harbor Freight. There's a rotary drill to pick up there. So anyway, have your plan. You're going to work your plan to make your projects go forward. And one other thing I thought you might be interested in here in terms of organization, you'll notice that the desk is pretty clean. You don't see a lot of modules and things all over the desk. And that's because we're going to use your basement of your desk. That's under here. So I want to show you something with that most people find is pretty useful. Now this could be a little bit tricky. I'm going to climb in underneath the desk while holding the camera. So you see we've got an uninterruptible power supply, first of all, for starters. The module's connected to it. Media drive information. USB connector that goes to the USB connector here that goes to the back of the computer. Right there, that slides in and out. That allows me for downloading stuff off of my phone really quickly. And our charge connectors up on top of the computer. But now let's get down to the basement here. Oh, this red strap, that's actually like a hammock. It's something I created on the bottom. I've been using them for about 10 years. It's just a webbing that I attach on two sides and allows me to it acts like a footrest. I can slip my feet in on this. I can hold it in different ways that it's much more comfortable when I'm working at the desk for long periods of time. Okay, now we're going to get the view going up. Yeah, this could be a little difficult here. I'm going to be upside down. Let me turn around here. Okay, I'm getting some sort of a view here. So you see all the modules and AC adapters I mount on the underside of the desk. Now, I'm going to remove the straps. Get this out of the way for a moment. There we go. Make things a little more clear. So you see the adapters in here, the power strips. See the two power strips in here. Now you notice, so I mount the power strips with the screws going into the bottom of the desk. So they're solidly mounted. And then into that, the adapters. And the cabling. You notice like a USB extension. And the cabling's all attached to everything, as are all the modules. Module over here for lighting. Notice all the cables are all kind of bundled. Here's some of the modules that run for my internet connection. So the real trick to this is these lights. There we go. Now you can probably see it a little better. You see the little screw-in eye hooks. I just drill a very small hole. It was, 3/32 of an inch, I imagine. And these things screw into the desk. Be careful to put some kind of a set screw on the end of your drill so you don't drill through the top of the desk. That would be very unfortunate if you have a nice desk. So anyhow, I place a number of those, as you'll see, around the edges, and then run rubber bands across the top, which hold the adapters in. I use that for holding in cables. And they're not like perfectly organized. I mean, they're not like all in straight rows and everything. But if I see one of them there, I need to tie that back up. But it keeps them out of the way of my feet, for one thing. It keeps them up under the desk, out of view. And it just makes for a very nice, clean arrangement. All the wires are all contained, and you don't have this adapter clutter everywhere. One thing here's interesting, this is a switch here for the desk lights. I've actually got a DC puck lights underneath my desk. And that's just the control. It goes back to that module, and then that routes up underneath the top. So this is a very handy way that's saved me from a lot of clutter and aggravation over the years. And they say it works quite well. It actually goes together quickly. You just basically need to figure out where you want to put your power strips, how many adapters you're going to need, and a quick way of mounting these power strips. They generally have some little slotted holes in the back, and one of the difficulties people have is getting the screws to line up with that. So I found you just take it and flip it over on its back, you take a piece of paper, lay it over it, and then you just rub over the holes, and it leaves marks exactly where the holes should be, because it'll leave a little, keyhole looking shape around every place you rub on the paper. So you just be sure it's flat and lay it down, and then you can take the piece of paper, hold it up under the desk, and just drill in the centers of all those. And then you mount your screws, and the thing will slip right in. Easy peasy. I want to mention the under desk lighting. You can see the little, like puck lights underneath each one. Now these are LEDs, and they're all driven from low voltage. I think on that one you might, can we see up behind it? See the wiring that runs from the puck, then comes down the wall, and that goes down to an adapter down there. But I have a control switch mounted right very close at hand, so it's very easy for me to just reach in, flip the switch. Bingo, I've got my lights. Provides enough light for underneath my desk for writing, and then I have a halogen light over here if I'm going to do extended writing. But most of what I do is right here on the desktop. And these are really handy. I also have them over here at my wife's station. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention too is that these printers are all tied together. They go through the little server. Up here, here's our router. Now, this might be another tip that some of you might want to think about. One of the problems with placing your router, particularly in a house that's 2 stories, we're in the upper story right now, and I need to be able to get the connectivity, Wi-Fi, downstairs. Well, that's often difficult, particularly if this is sitting on top of a counter, or sitting on top of a bookshelf, where it has to radiate through all this material. So here I just had some pieces of oak laying around. I made a couple of oak rails, screwed them into the top of the bookcase, and had them extend out that these attach to. So I actually mounted this up, and then I screwed those in, but got that at the right position. And you can play around with what reception. Now here's the antennas. So the antennas, instead of going up, are pointing down. And I played around with, and I ended up getting like 1.5 more bars than I would have if I had had it up on top of the bookshelf. And the power supply is up on top up there, as well as, in fact, the disk drive is up there as well for storing media contents through the router. Now I prefer having wired connections, Cat5, between the computers and running, in fact, to the printers. So you see in the back there's a, I forget the name, but you can find it at any of the big box stores. It's kind of a nice plastic channel material, and it has adhesive parts that'll stick to the wall. So that's routed up above the track on the window, comes all the way down on this side, and then comes down behind the bookcases, and comes down and routes over here to this side, to this computer, and to this printer over here. And that makes a nice flow to things. So, signing off from the RH office. Get on those projects. Start planning them now, please. Start planning your projects.